Grant Delpit jumps a route like he was shot out of a cannon. The ball sails through the cold Cleveland air and lands squarely in his arms. Interception. The stadium erupts. But the moment? The real ignition point of the night? It wasn't the pick. It was Shedeur Sanders. Because as the camera pans to the Browns sideline, you don't see Delpit spiking the ball or the coaches high-fiving. You see Shedeur, helmet off, headset on, and absolutely losing his mind. He's not just clapping. He's screaming. Pacing the sideline like a man possessed. Pointing at teammates. Slapping helmets. Screaming encouragement into faces. The type of energy that feels less like a backup QB reaction and more like a field general calling in the final push.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
That was the moment. That's when everything changed. And no, he hadn't thrown a single pass that night. But it didn't matter. Because Shedeur Sanders was leading, loudly, emotionally, unapologetically. It was electric. And it was contagious. Suddenly, you could feel the energy snap back into the Browns like someone had just plugged the team into a wall socket. You could see it in the linemen's stances, in the defense's extra bounce, in the way the offense started looking around like, wait, we can actually win this thing? Shedeur didn't throw a touchdown. He didn't run a read option. He didn't call the plays. But in that one sideline moment, he owned the team. That kind of raw, emotional leadership? You can't manufacture it. You can't script it. And that's why that clip, that 5-second flash of Shedeur rallying his teammates like he'd already been named captain, went viral faster than the actual interception. Within minutes, the highlight was clipped, captioned, and posted. Future QB1 energy. You can't coach this. Put him in. And that's when the Shedeur Sanders movement became something real. Let's zoom out. The Browns have been a quarterback graveyard for decades. Hope builds, only to collapse under pressure like a folding chair in a thunderstorm. Quarterback after quarterback has walked into that locker room with high expectations and walked out with nothing but regret and bruises. But Shedeur? He didn't walk in expecting anything. He came in with his head down, clipboard in hand, 5th-round draft pick and all eyes against him. Everyone saw him as a project. Another legacy kid trying to ride his last name into a backup job. And yet here we are. Not because of what he did on the field, but because of what he did around it. That sideline energy didn't just spark a comeback. It sparked a movement. Because once Andre Smith drilled that 55-yard game-winning field goal, it wasn't just the stadium celebrating. It was Shedeur Sanders, arms raised to the sky, sprinting across the field like he just won the Super Bowl. He found Delpit. He chest-bumped linemen. He even hugged the kicker. And every camera lens found him. It wasn't just a quarterback celebrating a team win, it was a leader putting his stamp on the moment. It was a guy who wasn't supposed to matter this season, suddenly becoming the face of the Browns' hope. And the internet? Oh, the internet ate it up. Within 24 hours, his celebration had more views than the game highlights. Jerseys started flying off shelves. Social media lit up with calls for the Browns to start Shedeur Sanders. Fans were editing fake QB1 posters. Local reporters were swamped with questions. And behind the scenes, the real drama began. Because the coaching staff? They saw the same things you and I saw. The energy. The composure. The way veterans looked to him on the sideline when things got tense. They started asking questions that had never been asked seriously before. Is he ready? Sure, Joe Flacco had won the game on paper. But even he knew who the star of the night was. The cameras weren't on Joe walking into the tunnel. They were on Shedeur, signing autographs, taking selfies, getting mobbed by teammates who hadn't even been in his position group. This wasn't a fluke. This was a shift. And now Cleveland has a problem. A good problem, but a problem nonetheless. Because when your third-string quarterback becomes the emotional engine of your team and a viral icon without touching the field, you can't ignore that. And so, internally, the Browns' front office found themselves in unfamiliar territory. People were begging them to believe. The fan base, the media, former players, civic leaders. Shedeur wasn't just exciting, he was a movement. A kid from a college program that became a phenomenon, now turning a quiet corner of Cleveland football into a cultural moment. Let's be honest, Cleveland needed this. The city's been through enough football disappointment to write a trilogy. But this felt different. Shedeur represented possibility. He wasn't just someone who might win games, he was someone who might mean something. Someone who could finally bridge the gap between talent and emotion. Between excess and OS and belief. And that belief? It's rising like a tide. Because in the weeks following that Packers comeback, the pressure didn't fade, it intensified. Local news segments were debating QB of the future every night. Talk radio hosts practically screamed at each other about whether he should start now. Even Mary Kay Cabot, the queen of Browns insider reporting, did a full 180 and said he's more ready than we thought. And just like that, it wasn't a joke anymore. It was a question that had to be answered. Should the Browns hand over the keys to a kid who hadn't started a game, but had already captured the locker room, the city, and the internet? Or should they stick with the veteran, ride the safe choice, and risk watching their most exciting player wither on the sideline while the season crawls toward mediocrity? That's where we are, right now. The Shedeur Sanders moment isn't a highlight anymore. It's a fork in the road. And Cleveland has to choose. Do they play not to lose? Or do they dare to believe? So what do you think? Should Shedeur start now or wait his turn? Is this just another overhyped moment, or are we witnessing the rise of something real in Cleveland? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like if you believe in Shedeur. And subscribe for more QB chaos, sideline takeovers, and NFL storylines so wild they feel scripted. Because whatever happens next, the story is just getting started. If you thought the Shedeur Sanders moment was just some cute little viral sideline clip that would blow over in a few days, that Cleveland would go back to pretending Joe Flacco was the long-term answer? That the coaching staff would pat Shedeur on the head and tell him, "Nice enthusiasm, kid," while keeping him glued to the bench? Yeah, no. That interception by Grant Delpit was the fuse. Shedeur's reaction was the spark. And what we're watching now, that's a full-blown fire sweeping through the Browns organization, igniting everything in its path, from locker room conversations to front office strategy to fan expectations. And the question that's roaring louder by the week? Why isn't Shedeur starting yet? Let's walk through what's actually happening behind closed doors, because this isn't just about throwing a kid into the deep end and seeing if he can swim. This is a philosophical crisis. You've got a front office and coaching staff that spent the last 6 months saying he's not ready yet, we're focused on development, Joe gives us the best chance to win. And now they're sitting in meeting rooms watching film, not of game footage but of practice tape, where Shedeur's firing laser beams into tight windows, calling audibles with confidence, coaching up receivers after reps, and winning over the entire building. The whispers are growing teeth. Players are saying, "Yo, this dude's different." Staffers are saying, "He's got the locker room." The city is saying, "He's our guy." And the thing is, Shedeur's not pushing for the job. That's what makes it even more compelling. He's not doing media interviews every week. He's not dropping cryptic Instagram captions like, "Just wait on it." He's not playing politics in the locker room. He's just working. Quiet. Focused. Hungry. And that's terrifying for the coaches. Because now they can't control the timeline. He's forcing the conversation. Forcing it with poise. With preparation. With presence. You know how rare that is? For a backup, not even QB2, to steal the spotlight without even trying? That's Shedeur. And now the Browns' entire ecosystem is caught in this weird limbo. They know the kid has it. They feel the pulse. But they're scared. Scared that if they throw him in too early he might stumble. Scared that they'll ruin the momentum. Scared they'll break him. But here's the reality they're going to have to face. He's already running the team emotionally. He might not be QB1 on paper. But he's QB1 in the room. The guys respond to him. The vets dap him up. The younger guys look to him. That's not something you manufacture. That's not something you coach. That's something you either have, or you don't. And Shedeur? He's got it in spades. Let's not act like this hasn't happened before either. The NFL is full of moments where a team tried to wait, tried to follow the development timeline, and then finally just gave in to the momentum. Think Russell Wilson in Seattle. Think Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Think, dare I say it, Dak Prescott in Dallas. All of them were supposed to sit. All of them were second options. Until they weren't. Until the team realized that chemistry matters. That leadership matters. That the guy who walks into the huddle and makes everyone believe? You play that guy. And right now, that guy is Shedeur Sanders. Let's go back to that game against the Packers because that wasn't just a one-off moment. That was a proof of concept. Down 10-0. Offense sputtering. Flacco looking like he needed a reset button. The team looked checked out. The crowd was checked out. Even the coaching staff was starting to sag. And then, Shedeur starts yelling. Not in a tantrum way. In a wake the hell up kind of way. The kind of voice that cuts through the noise and says, "No, we're not going out like this." That's what changed the game. Because that interception by Delpit? It wasn't just a turnover, it was a door cracking open. And Shedeur kicked that thing wide open with pure energy. He brought the juice. He brought the fire. And when Andre Smith nailed that 55-yarder to win it, the team didn't run to the kicker. They ran to Shedeur. Watch the tape. The celebration gravitates to him. And you know who else noticed? The fans. Because within 48 hours, you had people printing custom Shedeur Browns jerseys. Stores putting up QB1 energy signs. TikTok flooded with sideline edits. Entire podcast episodes breaking down body language from the bench like it was presidential debate footage. This isn't just hype anymore. It's a movement. And the Browns front office? They're stuck. They can't ignore it. They can't stop it. They can only manage it. Delay it. Try to time it perfectly so it doesn't explode in their face. But here's the catch. Moments don't wait for you to be ready. And neither does Shedeur. The Detroit game looms. The pressure builds. The "Start Shedeur" chants are now echoing through the stadium. The media is circling like sharks. Every reporter is asking the same question in slightly different words. Are you thinking about giving Shedeur more reps? And the team keeps dancing. But here's the truth they're not saying out loud. They know. They know the locker room is shifting. They know the fans are choosing. They know Shedeur isn't just the future anymore. He's the present. And the longer they wait, the more the tension grows. Because the worst thing you can do to a fan base that finally believes again is make them wait too long. So now we're here. At the edge of a decision. Not about stats. Not about playbooks. But about belief. The Browns can either embrace what's happening and ride the wave, or play scared and risk losing everything the team has built in the last few weeks. Because let's be real. This isn't about replacing Joe Flacco. It's about starting a new era. So the final question becomes this. Do the Browns have the courage to follow the energy? Or are they going to overthink it and miss their moment? Let's not pretend this is normal. Let's not act like rookie quarterbacks usually become citywide phenomenons because of a sideline reaction. This is Cleveland, folks. A football city that's known heartbreak like it's a seasonal tradition. A franchise where the quarterback carousel has been spinning so long it probably qualifies as an amusement park ride. And yet, somehow in a matter of minutes, a fifth-round pick who hasn't thrown a regular season pass has become the centerpiece of the Browns' entire vibe. That doesn't just happen. That means something. Let's talk about what it means. It means Shedeur Sanders did something that analytics can't measure and highlight reels can't fake. He made people feel again. When he jumped up after Delpit's pick, when he charged down the sideline, when he screamed like the game was being played through him, the entire team shifted. The building woke up. The city woke up. Because in that moment, it wasn't just a spark. It was a signal. That someone on this roster wasn't just here to wear a uniform and ride the bench. That someone actually believed, not just in the team but in himself. And more importantly, that someone could make you believe too. That's rare. That's not something you see from a rookie backup. That's not even something you see from starters most weeks. So when the team pulled off the win and Shedeur celebrated like he'd thrown the touchdown himself, it didn't read as performative. It didn't feel forced. It felt earned. Authentic. Like he'd been emotionally invested in every down, because he was. And that emotion, it caught fire. Suddenly you've got players talking to the media about energy on the sidelines. You've got veterans saying, he's been like that all season. You've got young receivers quietly mentioning how they prefer the tempo of his practice reps. None of this is happening by accident. And let's talk about the coaching staff because they're walking a tightrope now. Officially, the message is steady. We're committed to Joe Flacco. Shedeur is developing. We're thrilled with his progress. But behind the scenes, the conversations are shifting. The whispers are getting louder. There's a reason the media keeps asking. There's a reason the cameras keep cutting to Shedeur after every scoring drive, every turnover, every timeout. Because deep down, everyone is waiting. Waiting for the moment the Browns finally say, we see it too. And here's the twist, they do. The decision isn't about if anymore. It's about when and how. Because you don't just throw a rookie into the fire without a plan, but you also don't keep a quarterback with this much momentum sitting on ice until the city loses patience. So now we're seeing this careful dance. More reps in practice. A few packages tailored for him. Strategic media leaks about his development. All of it designed to ease the inevitable. Because once you give Shedeur the starting job, you can't take it back. You can't unsee the swagger. You can't unfeel the spark. You can't undo the shift that's already happening in Cleveland's DNA. And it's not just football anymore. It's culture. Shedeur isn't just the backup quarterback. He's becoming a symbol, a lightning rod, a walking antidote to years of stagnation, disappointment, and quarterback trauma. And for a city that has worn its scars like a second skin, the idea of something new, something real, is intoxicating. This is bigger than stats, bigger than matchups. This is about what he represents. Hope, swagger, future. You know how many times Cleveland has felt like this about a quarterback? Exactly once, and that story didn't end well. But this already feels different. Because Shedeur doesn't need to promise anything. He's not out there demanding the spotlight. He's earning it, every rep, every meeting, every fiery sideline moment. And he's doing it with the kind of quiet intensity that forces people to pay attention. So what now? Do you keep him waiting? Let him develop, while the team chugs along at a sluggish offensive pace, praying that the defense can bail them out again? Or do you take the chance? Do you ride the wave? Do you let this kid, this fire starter, this magnet of momentum, lead? Because that's what this is really about. It's not just about starting a quarterback. It's about following a leader. And leadership? That's the one thing Shedeur's been showing in abundance. From the locker room to the sideline to the city itself, people are responding to him. Teammates believe in him. The crowd loves him. The front office is intrigued by him. And the media? They're already drafting headlines for when he gets the start. The question isn't can he do it anymore. The question is, how long can you hold this back before the momentum explodes on you? Because let me tell you something, this thing? It's not slowing down. Every passing week that Shedeur doesn't see the field only adds fuel to the fire. Every stalled drive with Flacco. Every 3-and-out that ends with a punt and a chorus of sighs. Every game that's too close for comfort. They're all just reminders of what we could be watching. And you can feel it, can't you? That moment is coming. That game where the offense sputters one too many times. Where the defense can't carry the whole team. Where the crowd starts chanting, "You, Shedeur," loud enough that the cameras can't cut away from it. And then it's go time. The helmet goes on. The headset comes off. And Shedeur Sanders jogs out onto the field, not just as a backup getting his first snap, but as a movement made real. And when that moment happens, all the analysis, all the talking heads, all the back and forth will fall away. Because there will be one clear truth staring everyone in the face. Cleveland's future is here. So what do you do now? You watch. You wait. You feel it build. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't ask for this spotlight. He earned it. With energy. With presence. With something you can't teach, authentic leadership. And once that's on full display, good luck trying to go back. This is no longer about Joe Flacco. It's not even really about quarterback depth charts or who's more game ready, or which arm looks better in slow-motion spiral breakdowns on sports TV. No. What's happening in Cleveland right now is a changing of the guard. Not because someone told us it was coming, but because we all felt it. And once you feel that shift, you can't ignore it. You can't unsee the way Shedeur Sanders has become the heartbeat of this team without ever stepping onto the field for a regular season snap. You can't unhear the roar of the crowd when the camera catches him on the sideline. And you definitely can't unsee the spark that lit up the team after that Del Pitt interception. When Shedeur, not the head coach, not the starting QB, not the veteran captains, rallied the troops. That moment wasn't just leadership. It was natural-born command. And let's be honest, Cleveland hasn't seen that kind of QB presence since, when? Bernie Kosar? It's been that long. So now we're in this beautifully chaotic in-between. The city's buzzing. The fans are begging. The locker room is leaning. And the coaches? They're hesitating. Because they know what happens once they pull that lever. Once Shedeur steps onto that field as QB1, even for a half, it's over for anyone else. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Not when the fanbase has already made their choice. Not when the team has already responded. Not when the kid has already owned the spotlight without even asking for it. This is more than a quarterback controversy, it's a cultural moment. A franchise fork in the road. Play it safe, ride the season out and risk watching the momentum fizzle? Or embrace the unknown. Bet on belief. And finally give the city something that feels like a turning point? Here's the thing, Browns fans have endured everything. The heartbreak. The false starts. The chaos. The next big things that turned into next big busts. They're not asking for a miracle. They're asking for something real. And Shedeur Sanders? Feels real. He doesn't need to promise championships. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing, leading, building trust, staying ready. And when that moment comes, when the helmet finally goes on and the huddle forms around him, you're not going to see nerves. You're going to see a player who's been ready, who's been waiting, And who knows exactly what this city needs. So what do you think? Is it time to let Shedeur take the reins? Or do the Browns risk letting this moment pass them by? Let us know in the comments, like if you're riding the Sanders wave. And hit subscribe for more jaw-dropping NFL narratives, sideline drama, and the kind of quarterback chaos that makes Sundays worth it. Because this story is just getting warmed up.